Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. We have achieved a lot together over the last 4 years, and for today's economic update, I want to highlight some of the things we've accomplished here in Kentucky and to give an update on the progress of some of the most important achievements. These past 4 years have been the very best on record for Kentucky's entire history in terms of new private sector investments, with a record $28.5 billion announced since I took office in December of 2019. We've announced more than 940 private sector new location and expansion projects. Best of all, these investments are creating more than 50,500 new full-time jobs for our Kentucky families. And these are really good, high-wage jobs that are helping our families thrive. This is new information to many, and it's exciting. Since 2021, Kentucky's average incentivized wage before benefits has topped $24 per hour for 3 consecutive years. That's the first time ever wages have reached that height. For the last 2 years, it's been over $26 per hour. We've also secured the record for the longest period with the lowest unemployment rates in our history. A big part of our success was landing the 2 largest economic development projects in our history, Ford Motor Company and SK On's Blue Oval SK electric vehicle battery project in Glendale and AESC's Gigafactory in Bowling Green. Combined, these 2 projects will create over 7,000 new Kentucky jobs and are nearly $8 billion in new investment in our Commonwealth. They've also cemented our place as the EV battery production capital of the United States of America. And these projects are going to be transformative, not just for Hardin and Warren counties, but for our entire state as we work to build out the EV supply chain right here. We've announced record-breaking projects in other areas of the Commonwealth, including Ascend Elements, the single largest investment in Western Kentucky, a huge investment in high-tech battery recycling and production that's bringing at least 400 new jobs to Christian County. Pratt Industries opened the cleanest, greenest recycled paper mill in the world in Henderson with a $500 million commitment that's created more than 320 new jobs. And just last week, Provalis announced the biggest job creation project in 13 years in Wayne County, bringing in over 200 full-time jobs. Since day one, we've been laser focused on helping our families and our communities not just survive, but thrive while growing our economy and creating well-paying jobs. We're now seeing this hard work paying off, and I look forward to even more wins for our Kentucky families during these next 4 years. And I believe next year has a chance to be one of our best on record in terms of economic development. These record investments are bringing in tens of thousands of new jobs, and today I have some terrific new news to share about a couple of the projects we've announced. I mentioned the importance of our EV sector, and Blue Oval SK is quickly expanding its hiring efforts. Again, Blue Oval SK is a partnership between Ford Motor Company and SK On, through which we're building the 2 biggest battery plants on planet Earth. It is a game-changing $5.8 billion investment, creating 5,000 new jobs. It is the single largest investment, single biggest economic development project in our history by far. As of this month, Blue Oval SK has already hired approximately 400 people for some of their newly created positions, and they are just getting started. Beginning next year, Blue Oval SK plans to hire approximately 2,000 additional employees. As part of this effort, they'll begin hosting career fairs to educate people about the many career opportunities that are available. Right now, they're hiring for salaried positions such as production supervisors and engineers, but they also have some production operator positions that require only a high school diploma or a GED. They're also seeking all experience levels from recent high school and college graduates to workforce veterans. Folks, these are good paying jobs that include health benefits for the entire family, low-cost medical premiums, and 401k matching. Hourly employees will be eligible to receive regular pay increases every 6 months and bonuses up to 5% annually based on their position and job performance. And on top of everything else, employees will also qualify for discounts on Ford vehicle purchases. That all sounds pretty great. So here's what you need to do if you're interested in learning more about job opportunities available at Blue Oval SK. You can check out the current job openings and apply online at blueovalsk.com. And while you're on their website, you can sign up for monthly newsletters and hear directly from them the latest. I want to thank again the leadership at Ford and SK On, not only for their long-term commitment, but having already hired 400 Kentuckians, providing a great living and opportunity for the next generation for each and every one of those families. Next up, back in October, I joined company officials and local leaders in West Louisville to celebrate what I believe is the biggest jobs announcement in the last several decades for that important community. Stellar Snacks, a thriving woman-owned maker of pretzel snacks, is investing $137 million and creating an amazing 350 full-time jobs. The company is led by the mother and daughter duo of Elizabeth and Gina Galvin, and today we have an update to share from Gina.
Hello everyone and good day. My name is Gina Galvin. I'm from Stellar Snacks, the woman-owned pretzel company that you might have heard a little bit about recently. We proudly announced that we're growing our company and it's time for a second manufacturing plant. We picked Louisville, Kentucky as our second home, and we're so proud to be growing within this community for the years to come. Plans start next year, and we're already preparing with some early hires and some positions that are integral to building the facility. So we're proud to announce our first job fair this weekend on Saturday at Hudson Middle School. It's going to run from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. And there's lots of information on our social media channels as well as our website so you can learn more and RSVP.
This is really exciting news for West Louisville and the entire Commonwealth. As Gina said, Stellar Snacks is building out its baking facility right now with plans to begin production in the fall. If you want to be a part of this exciting project, check out their job fair this Saturday, December 16th from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. at the Dr. J. Blaine Hudson Middle School in Louisville. You can also find more information at stellarsnacks.com/Louisville. Thanks again to Elizabeth and Gina and the entire Stellar Snacks team for choosing Louisville and choosing West Louisville. We won't let you down, and we look forward to many incredible years to come. On Tuesday, we had an amazing time at the inaugural activities. In many ways, it was the beginning of another term, but it was also the end of a first term. Over the past 4 years, we've had an opportunity to do so much, wrapping up 4 years of record-breaking activities that led to many firsts for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We set a quick pace because we had a lot of things we wanted to accomplish for our Kentucky families and communities. As I mentioned earlier, we secured the best 4-year period for economic development investments. We landed the largest economic development projects in state history, and we set a record for the longest period with the lowest unemployment rates in state history. We're also supporting the state's workforce by expanding apprenticeships in fields including healthcare, advanced manufacturing, construction, hospitality, and education. In August of this year, we announced that 2022 was the best year on record for Kentucky tourism, with a $12.9 billion economic impact that supported 91,668 jobs. We also broke the all-time record with 9 new tourism development projects that are set to generate an additional $301.2 million in economic investment, creating 628 new jobs. The state's bourbon and spirits industry also recorded its best year for growth in 2022, with over $2.1 billion in new investments and approximately 700 new jobs. Since the start of the administration, we've announced 96 new location and expansion projects just within the bourbon and spirits industry, contributing to over $3.6 billion in new investments and more than 1,650 new full-time jobs. We've gotten major infrastructure projects moving that many said would never happen or had been talked about for decades. We secured what was then the largest infrastructure grant in U.S. history, now the second largest, to help build the Brent Spence Companion Bridge without tolls. For the first time ever, every section of the Mountain Parkway is either completed, under construction, or under contract, That's the 4-laning of every single part. And I-69 is moving forward so fast that Indiana just stepped up and let their approach to where the bridge will eventually be built, meaning there is a lot of work on both sides of the river. We've also moved forward on many critical regional projects that are just as important as those mega projects to those that live in those communities. These are projects like the Kentucky Highway 30 from Boonville to London, the Minnie to Harold Connector in Floyd County, the opening of a new Spotsville Bridge, the opening of the Gallatin County Regional Airport, and dozens of other projects. To date, the administration has also provided more than $118 million in discretionary funds to fix roads and bridges in all 120 counties. We've secured the largest investment in history in high-speed internet expansion that's going to provide reliable, affordable access to every home and business in the Commonwealth. And through a bipartisan agreement with lawmakers, and thank you to each of them for these investments, $500 million in federal dollars have also gone to provide many families clean drinking water for the first time. Clean drinking water is a basic human right, and these investments are a win-win. They do things like provide water for the first time, increase pressure, which is required to fight fires and protect property, or to generate more capacity for economic development, which brings in new jobs. These investments in water are a win every time we make them. And for so many communities with crumbling water infrastructure, they are a lifeline that helps these communities move forward. We set a goal to use donated relief dollars to build and repair homes in the West following tornadoes and in the East following flooding, and we're getting it done. With support from the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund, we're working to construct 300 new homes in the West. 155 are completed, under construction, or approved to start construction in 9 counties. We're already over halfway there, just 2 years after that tornado event. Housing efforts in the East following the July 2022 floods include now 7 high-ground communities that we've announced. They'll house at least 500 families, though when you look at capacity, I believe many, many more. Those are going to be funded in part with the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, which has provided over $3.6 million, committing to nonprofits that are currently building and repairing homes. To date, we have 14 homes in Breathitt, Martin, Owsley Knott, Perry, and Letcher that have been built or replaced, with many more to come. When it comes to public safety, I believe every Kentuckian has a right to feel safe in their community, in their workplaces, and in their schools, and we have taken steps to increase public safety. Just in the last 2 years, this administration has secured a historic more than $18,000 pay raise for Kentucky State Police troopers and officers. Due to these increases and the tireless efforts of KSP's recruiting staff, 1,007 troopers are now wearing the badge of honor, the highest number since 2017. We haven't seen that 1,000 mark, all right, that 1,000 mark in over 6 years. And now we're getting back to it. We've also supported training for local law enforcement officers by raising current training stipend to an all-time high, and we are supporting with construction of new instructional training facilities in Richmond. In April of this year, we announced that Kentucky's drug overdose deaths had declined by 5% in 2022 compared to 2021, the first decline since 2018. We were one of only 8 states to see that decrease. So thank you to everyone in law enforcement, in treatment, in recovery. Your hard work is paying off. Keep it up. Kentucky is also leading the way in providing treatment services to Kentuckians. According to the National Substance Use and Mental Health Services Survey in 2022, Kentucky ranks number 1 for per capita residential substance use disorder treatment beds. We've been waiting for this to come out. This is the data that we've been waiting for that says in 2021, Kentucky was number 1 per capita in the country with the number of treatment beds for those suffering from addiction. And thanks to new workforce programs for those leaving incarceration and having the highest number of corrections-based addiction treatment beds, the state also announced the lowest recidivism rate in our history. We protected healthcare access for more than 100,000 Kentuckians by removing roadblocks, and we relaunched and expanded the state insurance marketplace called Connect. We expanded Medicaid coverage for new mothers boosted our workforce by adding dental, vision, and hearing coverage, and helped cap the cost of insulin. And then we're growing healthcare access all over the state, building the first hospital in West Louisville in 150 years. The Bullock County Hospital, that's almost complete, that's so important. The new Pediatric Autism Center open in Prestonsburg, and the Ava Center in Pikeville. So many great healthcare projects going on right now. It's going to mean that people drive a shorter distance or take fewer buses and can actually see a practitioner in their own community. Our administration also believes that mental health should be treated the same as physical health. So we launched the 988 Crisis Hotline, which connects Kentuckians to trained professionals that can help in that moment of crisis when someone is considering suicide, under mental health distress, or is having an addiction crisis. And these are compassionate and trained people who do an amazing job. And if you're struggling, they're ready to help. All you have to do is dial 988 and you can be immediately connected to someone. During the holidays, it's really easy to get down, especially if you've been through loss. It's a time when depression can come back and does in many people, or anxiety. Remember, we launched this thing to help you. So reach out, call that number. There are people that care about you, that want to help, that have the training to do the very best job. To date, 988 has received over 52,000 calls, 14,000 text messages, and 12,000 online chats for Kentuckians. And remember, every single outreach matters. It's okay to not be okay. And a lot of people go to school for a long time to help. And every time that you call, you're going to hear from somebody that's ready to help. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is always help available for you if you need it and you're willing to call that number. Here in Kentucky, calls are answered 12 seconds faster than the national average, as every second count. Next, let's talk about how we supported public education. Since day one, we've led an education-first administration and have made some significant investments in our public schools. We've raised the elementary and secondary education funding per pupil by 7.5%, the most since 2008, and supported the biggest increase in post-secondary education since before the Great Recession. We've protected educator pensions, secured modest raises, signed legislation that funds full-day kindergarten, and invested over $250 million in career and technical education. While those gains have been important and grateful for the General Assembly in appropriating those funds and buying in and supporting that vision, more needs to be done. That's why I'm proposing an 11% pay raise for all public school employees so that every child has a teacher in the classroom. We have enough bus drivers to get our kids to and from their school safely, that we have the custodians, the cafeteria workers, everything that we need, and that we are not underpaying these public sector employees, many of which work for the largest employer in their county. That what an 11% raise will do for local economies will be incredible, but it's also the right thing to do. Remember, last year in their session, Tennessee approved over time a 22% teacher raise. This is who we're competing with. They're out talking about being or going to top 10 in educator pay, and we are 44th in starting teacher pay and 40th in average teacher pay. This isn't a red or a blue issue. This is a public education issue, and I look forward to continuing conversations with the General Assembly and trying to work to be more competitive with the states around us. Remember, our job is to beat Indiana and not beat up on each other, and this is one area that we've got to come together on. The other is our call for funding of universal pre-K for all 4-year-olds to ensure that every child is kindergarten ready. Cincinnati is moving to this, meaning Northern Kentucky is at a competitive disadvantage. And we talk about learning loss rightfully, but the biggest area of learning loss is kids not showing up kindergarten ready and never catching up. Let's address it before it starts, and let's be committed to it throughout the entire education process for each of our children. I've been proud to work with lawmakers to sign 627 bipartisan bills, from sports betting to medical cannabis to expanding early voting to income tax relief. There's been historic progress that everybody can support and get behind, and everybody ought to feel proud of. We have gotten a lot of big things done. We secured record funding for our Appalachian region through the Appalachian Regional Commission. We fully funded state employee pensions and signed budgets that made extra payments that reduced the unfunded liability. We secured the largest rainy day fund and general fund surpluses in state history. And we secured the first ever state level credit rating upgrade from Fitch in 13 years. In June, S&P Global Ratings upgraded Kentucky for the first time, and Moody's hasn't done the credit rating yet, but did the economic outlook, and we believe the credit rating is to follow. That would be all three major credit rating agencies saying the same thing, that our economy is booming and that we're doing it right. Again, every Kentuckian, regardless of your party and regardless of who you voted for, can be proud of things like that. Now, the reward in my family for hard work has always been more work. And that's exactly what's coming in front of us. We've got a chance to do special things, to focus on Kentuckians' concerns when they wake up every morning, their job, the road that they're going to drive on, their kids' public school, whether they feel safe in their community. Those are things that we can all take a look at, exchange our ideas in an environment that values each and every idea and makes it a debate or a discussion on how we do better, and not any types of attacks on each other. My hope is in this next session, that's exactly what we'll see, because when we win for the people of Kentucky, we create a better life for our kids and grandkids. And I think that is why everybody gets into this. Now, our goal should be to build the better Kentucky, not to own this group or that group, but to just do our best for every single Kentucky citizen. Since day one in office, my administration has also been committed to become a national leader in public safety, a pledge that I remain focused on as I begin a second term. Our law enforcement officers, both local agencies and the Kentucky State Police, along with drug task forces, the National Guard, and the Kentucky Counter Drug Program, have done incredible work to combat illicit drugs in the Commonwealth. In November, KSP's drug seizures total value amounted to more than $1.6 million worth of drugs that KSP seized that are no longer able to kill our loved ones and harm our families. That makes November the highest month this year for total value seized. So far during 2023, KSP has made 3,121 drug-related arrests with a total value of drugs seized amounting to $8 million. Thank you to the Kentucky State Police for your impressive work in combating illegal drugs. Because of you, many dangerous drugs are off the street and our people are safer. The work is never ending, and we will continue fighting this drug crisis in every way that we can, from law enforcement to treatment to recovery to second chance employment. There's a chance to get our people better and ultimately end an epidemic that arose in our lifetime that we have a duty not to leave to future generations. So thank you to KSP and everybody else doing this incredible work. Next up, we have some great news about our efforts to increase public safety and reduce recidivism in the Commonwealth. Beginning January 1st, projects and programs in Kentucky that provide second chance opportunities to our justice-involved population can apply for more than $640,000 in grant funding. This grant funding will help us support those individuals who have committed lesser offenses to participate in home incarceration, work release, treatment, and employment training. I want to encourage eligible government agencies, private nonprofits, and charitable organizations across the Commonwealth to apply for this funding. Listen, if you are an employer, you are already dealing with addiction. You already have people that are in recovery. And second chance employment is what it's going to take, not just to repair the fabric of our society, but it's going to be critical to fill the openings that we have out there. These are some of the best workers that you will ever find. So we encourage you, apply for this funding, but open your eyes and open your hearts. Believe in second chances. Do all the due diligence you need to. But we need more second chance employers here in the Commonwealth. And every single time a company agrees to be a second chance employer, we get a little bit closer to the end of this epidemic. Second chances are an investment in workforce. They also reduce recidivism and create safer communities. My faith teaches me the importance of forgiveness, that every person is a child of God, regardless of what they've been through. and that we should give those that are trying to reintegrate with society and get better opportunities to succeed and to achieve. I want to thank the Kentucky agencies that are committed to this work. Applications can be found on the website on January 1st at justice.ky.gov. All right, an exciting update on EV charging stations and grants that are going to be out there, especially for local governments. We made major progress this year in building out our statewide network of fast chargers for electric vehicles. This fall, we selected 7 developers to build a total of 24 charging stations along interstates and parkways. We will be issuing another request for proposals in early 2024 to fund more. This is with the grant from the federal government, where we have to have one every so many miles on our interstates and our parkways. And we have such a great system of those roads in Kentucky that it covers a lot. We received nearly $70 million to help with this effort through the bipartisan infrastructure law. But today I want to share information about another opportunity for local governments to bring even more charging stations to their communities. This coming spring, the federal government is expected to start accepting grant applications from local governments and other eligible entities that want to build and maintain charging stations. These chargers can be built on federally approved corridors or within communities such as near schools, parks, public roads. Think about tourist attractions. There are $2.5 billion that are going to be up for grabs across the country, and we want as much of it here in the Commonwealth. This is from the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant Program. So I want to encourage agencies and eligible partners to start preparing now. We want to make sure we have more applications than the rest. If selected, the federal government would pay 80% of the total project cost, leaving local governments with just a 20% match. Those interested can check out the resources page at evcharging.ky.gov to learn how to prepare. All right, this Saturday, Brittany and I are going to get to engage in one of my favorite things that we do here at the Capitol every year. That's the Frankfurt Christmas Parade and the state Christmas tree lighting. It had to be moved because of weather to this Saturday, December 16th at the Capitol South Lawn. That's between the Capitol and the Annex. Now, this is a new date because we didn't want anybody to freeze or to be out there in inclement weather. There'll be food and games for the entire family. I even made a few phone calls, and Santa Claus will be there again this year. It all kicks off at 6. After the parade, we light the state Christmas tree at 8 p.m. And in this giving season, Brittany's collecting new unwrapped stuffed animals and journals for Zero V, the statewide coalition of domestic violence shelters. All donations will go directly to those shelters to help survivors. We will have donation bins around the Capitol. Come, enjoy the parade. We typically have hundreds of people that turn out for it, and then do a little bit of good and drop one of these gifts in the bin for someone who will probably receive it on the worst day, some fleeing for their safety, having not been able to grab the things that their children may need, and to be able to be there that first night and to have that child handed a stuffed animal, a journal, just something that can be theirs, especially over those first couple days, is so important. Tuesday was Inauguration Day in the Commonwealth, and Brittany and I want to thank everybody who turned out for an incredible inauguration. Everyone who joined us at the worship service, everyone who participated in a great parade that also got finished in less than 2 hours, and everyone who joined us moving forward together at the swearing-in ceremony. It was a special ceremony. It showed how much talent there is in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I mean, my goodness, after Walker Montgomery and Ben Salee and Silas House and Tyler Childers, I was a little nervous to even get up there because all the star power had already been on display. But how neat is it that all those accomplished artists wanted to be a part of something so special here in Kentucky? It shows how much they love this place. It shows how special we all are here in Kentucky. And to be able to come together on a day where we have a message that's about the end of the bickering and the fighting. The idea that we can move forward together and we can focus every day on things that we should all agree on and that move the lives of our people forward is so important. I said it during the the inaugural address. This is our chance not just to be an economic leader, which we are and we will continue to be, but also a moral leader for this country. This is our chance. We are good people here in Kentucky. And if we can just show that and live by it, maybe we can change the way that people treat each other, both in our state and outside of it. We also wanted to take a minute to recognize our poster contest winners. So Brittany and I wanted to make sure that kids across the Commonwealth, most of which would be in school that day, could still be a part of this inauguration, that they could lend their voices and their talent to moving forward together. Children from across the Commonwealth sent them in, so much talent and creativity, and I want to thank everybody who submitted one. Even though it was difficult, 5 winners were selected by Brittany, so nobody blame me. And then we had the chance to meet and recognize them on Inauguration Day. The winner in the 6 to 9 category was Lincoln Adam from Paducah. Our 10 to 13-year-old winner was Braylee Nolan from Frankfort, who has stood at this podium, by the way, and talked about the importance of savings when we did that important message. She's already, I think, helped us with over 2 announcements. Didn't realize, because Brittany had made the selection, that she was a part and had done such a great job. It was good to see her again, even if she had to remind me of the times we've been together. Sorry, Braylee. The winner of the 14 to 17 age category was Miles Garrett from Louisville. As he explained this was about the emergence from COVID, that while bright, still carrying some of the challenges. It was a real special explanation where you could feel a little bit of what he feels. Overall, most creative was Bennett Losh from Lexington. And our most colorful winner was Camden Mavis from Fort Thomas. So thank you to all of them again, and we know that we will see more great things from them to come. I want to thank the hundreds, if not thousands, of our people who worked tirelessly to make sure every moment on Tuesday's celebration was extra special. Not just for me, Brittany, Will and Lila, and the Lieutenant Governor, but for every Kentucky family. To pull off an event of this magnitude, you need everyone's help, from emergency personnel to private citizens who roll out the red carpet and welcome everyone to Kentucky's capital. The people worked long hours, weekends, late nights, and through cold temperatures. So I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone. But to name a few, our Kentucky National Guard, the Kentucky State Police, the City of Frankfort, Frankfort Police, Fire, and EMS, Kentucky Emergency Management, Local Emergency Management, Frankfort Tourism, Kentucky State Parks, Facilities and Support Services, all our volunteers, and so many more. We cannot thank you enough. So we'll do our best by naming you this week's Team Kentucky All-Stars. Congratulations. But on a very personal note, it was a wonderful day that even filled me with hope and excitement about our future. Thank you for what an incredible event that can hopefully capture energy and push us forward together. All right, with that, we have 1 journalist in studio and 3 on the line. We'll start with McKenna.
All right, thank you, Governor. I was wondering if you could give your reaction to the redistricting decision this morning from the Supreme Court.
So the redistricting decision came out from the Supreme Court this morning. It is long, so I've not read it yet. My understanding is that they affirmed the redistricting plan and law. That means that the districts are what they are and will be moving forward for about the next 10 years. I'll be looking to see if the Supreme Court ruled how I think they ruled, and that's that it's okay to gerrymander on purely partisan intentions. And if that's the ruling, it's concerning. It's not the way that government should operate. And if it takes a constitutional amendment, I think we should pursue one. I believe that I saw just one line that said, if people don't like the way the districts are redrawn, they should vote the people out. Well, wait, the districts are redrawn to make it harder to vote people out. And so, the ruling is what it is, and we'll have to move forward. But we've got to get to a point where redistricting is about the people and not the politics, and trying to find a vehicle to do that. But it's decided. That is the rule. What they rule is the law, and we'll have to work with it, around it, or ultimately find the way to change it. All right, on the line, we have Tom Latek, who listened so well during COVID that he didn't come in because he's a little sick.
Oh, thank you, Governor, and good afternoon to you. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on the number of state lawmakers who will be retiring at the end of 2024.
Well, first of all, Tom, I could tell you're feeling a little under the weather. We hope you are better and get better. I like a lot of tea when I'm sick. These are hard jobs, and so many of these lawmakers have put in decades of service. And whether or not I agree or disagree with each bill they may have pushed or passed, you give up a lot to do these jobs. There's added stress for these lawmakers. There's time away from their families, and it can be a real challenge. So all I'd say to each of them is thank you for your service. I wish you the best in whatever endeavor that you're going to now. And again, thank you for your period of time and your work in Frankfort. And I hope each and every one of those lawmakers is proud of the work that they have done and are looking forward to staying involved in some form or fashion. You don't have to be a lawmaker in Frankfort to make a difference. There's lots of things going on in local communities. So we certainly wish them the best. And maybe it gives an opportunity, for a mixture of some senior experienced members as well as new members and new energy. That's certainly something we're seeing in the administration, where even though we have a very tight group that I think enjoys coming to work every day, people reach different points in their lives where we're now filling a number of positions out there. So every change is a new opportunity, but every time a lawmaker steps down, it's also a loss of their experience and energy and investment. That was a long answer. Mark Vanderhoff.
Governor, as you know, the theft of SNAP benefits has become such a huge issue in the country that Congress is actually allowing states to use federal funds to replace stolen benefits. But we're hearing from victims that Kentucky is not replacing those benefits, or if they are, that it's just taken so long that people we talked to who had benefits stolen months ago told us that they still haven't received help. So what is your administration doing to speed up processing claims and reimburse folks in a more timely manner? And what kind of obstacles are you encountering?
Well, first, Mark, I hope after this you'll send some of those names our way so that we can make sure that we can speed up to those individuals, but knowing there are others out there that need their benefits as well. This has become a big issue across the country. You look at the damage that cyber attacks can make, but also fraud. These are scammers at their worst, right? Taking money from people that already don't make enough to buy enough food for themselves and their kids. I mean, stealing from the least of us is contrary to every part of my faith, and it makes these scammers the worst of the worst. They need to be found, arrested, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Over the past year, to give you an idea of scope, more than 1,580 theft complaints have been reviewed for SNAP, as well as Simplified Assistance for the Elderly, or SAFE, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, or TANF, also called KTAP, a Cash Assistance Program, and PEBT. So you're right. This is a significant issue here, along with the rest of the country. Beneficiaries whose data may have been compromised receive notification from the state, and Kentuckians impacted by bad actors are asked to order a new benefits card, which it takes. You can't use the old one if it's been compromised, and to update their personal identification number to prevent theft or additional theft. That's the same thing that others would do with your credit cards or other financial documentations, the password to your bank account or others. We have been working with those that have been victimized to get their benefits restored and made whole. But again, any delay, especially to individuals on these programs, can be really harmful. So certainly my goal is to make sure that we do better as we move forward, to make sure these individuals can be made whole. There are certain things that we need them to do, but we need to clearly communicate that and follow up, knowing that many of these folks are really busy working jobs, just not ones that pay enough to support their family. And we ought to be doing everything we can to help them meet the steps that need to be taken to get this done. Tessa Duvall, Lexington Herald Leader.
Thank you, Governor. As it relates to the redistricting case, you mentioned the possibility of a constitutional amendment. How would you feel about the prospect of a fair districting amendment getting through the legislature, or for that matter, any of your priorities getting through the legislature in the next session now that this reelection campaign is behind you?
Well, overall, with me being term limited, we ought to have a better path, at least, to getting some things passed. But I say that when in the last term, we got the vast majority of every piece of legislation we wanted to see through, whether that means we were out front or behind, whether we got very involved or stepped back if it looked like it was going the right direction. All that matters to me is the result. I'm not worried what people need to say about how it got done. We passed sports betting, medical marijuana, one of the best budgets for investments in our communities in terms of water and internet and so many other programs. Listen, if we can continue to get the types of budgets, even if that's it that we got during the last session, we will move this state forward for so many of our families, everything from the economic development funds to bring sites up all over Kentucky to additional water and wastewater grants to the career and technical renovations that we are doing, $10 million plus grants in our public schools. I mean, there's been a lot of good things done and a lot of them that can come. I will say getting a fair redistricting constitutional amendment through would probably be really challenging, given the legislature passed this last one and the Supreme Court has said that they had the authority to do it the way that they did it. So the reality of that is challenging. That doesn't mean that you don't continue to try. I think this ought to be done by a nonpartisan commission so that we rightfully can address both maybe the redistricting as it's being done now by this supermajority and also how it's been done by the past when the majority was of another party. Now, we can address both of those by doing it in the future in a nonpartisan way that so many other states have adopted. Now, most of those states have adopted it through ballot initiatives that the voters themselves can put on the ballot. We can't do that. We have to have a constitutional amendment that is put on there by a vote from the legislature. So that'd be really challenging. But I will say on the other major priorities, we've already started having really productive conversations. And that just means that we've got to sit down like we've had at least one meeting and talk things through. And I want to make sure I keep those discussions private. But in the end, you look at what our surrounding states and others are doing. It's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. We've just got to get to a point where either no one's worried about credit or everybody gets credit. And then a way where everybody believes it makes sense financially, both through the vehicle on how to do things, as well as what it sets up in the future. And I feel good. At least we've had a lot of reach out from various legislators. We're trying to respond and make sure that we approach this next session with the very best energy and attempts, hopefully on all of us to move forward together. Those are all of our journalists. Let me just say, I guess news broke earlier this week that our floor leader in the Senate, Damon Thayer, was not going to run for re-election. I want to thank him for his 2+ decades of service. Again, whether or not we always agree or don't, that's a lot of time away from your family. That's a lot of effort and energy that takes away from a private job. Last session, got some really important things through that are having such a huge benefit. I hope that we can have a good, I guess what will be final session with him as floor leader and get some real things accomplished in his last session or our first session of these next 4 years. All right. We will see you next week. Thank you very much.